Everyone, good evening to our viewers. Welcome to the Evening Review Show. I'm your host, Matthias Haufiko. Well, winter has slowly but surely crept away, but for thousands of Namibians, it wasn't so warm because many didn't have a roof over their head. And of course, as we know, that housing remains a contentious issue in Namibia as far as delivery and the speed of delivery, of course, is concerned. We have in studio tonight Mr. Gisbertus Mukulu. He is the CEO for the National Housing Enterprise, the parastatal and the public body tasked to deliver on this very daunting mandate. Mr. Mukulu, good evening and welcome to the Evening Review.
Good evening, Matthias, and good evening to the public.
It's indeed a pleasure having you here.
Thank you very much.
This is a topic that needs no introduction. I can't even ask you how much of a precious stick it is for you and your team. Perhaps just a brief summary as to how things are going at the National Housing Enterprise and how you and your team are facing this monster called the housing crisis.
Yeah, thank you very much. NAG currently as an institution, we are in the right trajectory as far as housing delivery is concerned. Maybe to commence with, NAG had crafted a new strategic plan from 2024 on to 2029. And this is a roadmap which had, of course, laid out a specific project that we are going to carry out. Number one is NAG's own project. And then the second one is the mass housing. And then the third leg is the informal settlement upgrading project. So those are the three key projects that we will, of course, undertake in the next, 5 years. Mm-hmm. This year, we are looking at roughly 600 to 800 houses to be rolled out throughout the country, being the first year of the strategic plan. Mm-hmm. Of course, it's not only maybe I can probably not elaborate too much, yeah. But let me say close to 800 houses will be rolled out at various localities in Namibia. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. We've been speaking over the years to say there's been this issue of a housing backlog estimated to be around 300,000 and so. And the public always wants to really understand what is it that's really holding us back as far as achieving our housing delivery targets are concerned.
You see, a backlog is a number of 300,000, but it should also be well understood that this is a number that is just estimated. Mm-hmm. It is an estimated number in the sense that it will not really give you the true number as such. For me, from where I'm sitting, that number is less than 300,000. But this housing delivery is not only of course, let me say the mandate of NAG alone. Mm-hmm. There are, of course, NAG in terms of the Act number 5 of 1993, we are entrusted to finance and, of course, provide houses. Yeah. But it's not only NHE, but also the private sector. And also other programs, like, for example, the Build Together programs and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. But above all, NHE, in terms of the Act of Parliament, we are entrusted to provide housing to the Namibian. Yeah. Therefore, the 300,000 is the estimated number that is being used. Yeah. But from where I'm sitting, of course, making my own estimate as an entity, it is less than 300. Yeah. Yes. How we are going to tackle it is by embarking on a number of programs. We are getting a lot of assistance from the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development. And of course, I want to thank our Minister of Urban and Rural Development, Honorable Erastus Otoni, for, of course, availing the resources, financial resources, to make sure that NAG is able to carry out its mandate. So therefore, this is more of a collaborative effort between the ministry and ourselves. And of course, in the ministry, we have the Build Together program. This year, for your own information, NAG had received a budgetary allocation of 50 million to carry out quite a number of projects across the country in order for us to be able to achieve our mandate as per our strategic plan. Yes.
Okay. You've mentioned that housing delivery does not only rest on the shoulders of NHE.
Yes.
Maybe from an institutional point of view, what is the current status quo within the organization? I know there's been issues over the years of financial reports that are outstanding and so on. How are those internal issues being addressed that will then allow you to execute the broader mandate of delivering houses?
Yeah, thank you very much. NAG currently, in terms of our structures and governance, with the new board that has come on board March of last year, the board has embarked on making sure that, of course, the governance of the institutions in terms of policies, in terms of procedures are put in place. And also to bring harmony, of course, the harmony within the institution itself, between management, between the employees, and of course other stakeholders, like for example the trade unions, for example. As we speak, the relationship had really improved between NHE and of course the union and the ministry and so on. This is basically the reason why the board had put in a lot of effort to make sure that the governance is strengthened. Yeah. And the board had put in place quite a number of policies, and those policies would enable us at least to stay on course and of course use those principles to make sure that our mandate is achieved. But all I can tell you is that we are now in a good space. Maybe just to give you a glimpse of what had happened since the board came on board. I never had a fully fledged executive team, but now I have a fully fledged executive team that will assist my office in delivering on the mandate. We now have a new executive for infrastructure development, new executives for credit risk, new executives for sales and business development, and we have a CFO as well. And we have a new executive for human capital and strategy. Strategy is very key, because for an institution to achieve its mandate, the strategy should be carried out in a manner that each and every one is held accountable. From, of course, the board, the CEO, management, and of course the entire staff. And that's what the board had put in place. We have now the performance management system in place that of course will track the progress from all the institutional staffs, including the CEO. The CEO, of course, is the one who is spearheading the entire, of course, operation. Yeah. And the board is holding me accountable for what is happening in the institution. The current board has, of course, given us the necessary support, both at the management level and of course the entire company. And as such, we are now on course to make sure that we achieve our mandate. Yeah. Yes.
You've mentioned accountability, and over the years we've seen how parastatals have struggled in that domain, especially when it comes to ensuring that they are audited or their books are up to date. And how else would you then be held accountable if your books are not up to date? What is the status quo at NHE?
Definitely, thank you very much. Of course, with the new board, of course, on board, and of course the management's commitments and dedication, we were able to make sure that our annual financial statements are up to date. As we speak, our annual financial statements, all the 7 years, are now up to date. We are now at 2023, and that means we are now current. And in the process, what we did, of course, together with the board, is that we had also informed our line minister, who's the shareholder, that we are now up to date, and therefore, now that we are in good standing, we are able to approach the financiers who can then be able to make the resources available for NAG to carry its own mandate. And that has been the stumbling block. So for us as an institution, this is the biggest achievement. It's the biggest milestone. And of course, it's something that I am proud of my board, proud of my management and the entire staff for the support that they have given, of course, to myself and to the entire board to make sure that all the financials are eventually carried out and we're able to bring them up to date.
With that said, you've mentioned earlier on that you are in a good space. You've also mentioned that strategy is key to the way forward as far as your mandate is concerned. For someone watching the show tonight, when they hear NHE, they just want to hear houses are being availed. So being in a good space and the strategy, how would you then blend those two to ensure that the housing needs of Namibians are catered for, and not just in a long sort of time frame, but in the shortest time frame possible?
Exactly. So the two are working together. There is a synergy between the two. The strategy would enable the institution to carry out its activity. By activity, I'm referring to the projects that we need to carry out. Maybe just for the public's consumption. Currently, NHE had already started with the implementation or with the rollout of a number of housing projects. And this is a realization of our strategic plan. We are currently constructing 64 houses in Ondangwa, and then we have 30 that is under construction in Omuthia, and then in Okakarara, 52 are about to begin. And then in Mariental is 34 that will also start. In Windhoek, we are also going to undertake certain projects, and this is a new concept that we came up with, what we call low-cost apartment, because we have realized that most of the graduates, especially those that have just started working, do not really have a place to stay. And therefore, we are going to roll out what we call a low-cost apartment to accommodate those graduates, to accommodate at least our citizens who are in the low to medium income bracket. And this is very key. I have mentioned earlier about the 856 houses that we are going to roll out this year. Many more are yet to come. I will not be able to name all of them, but that is as a result of the strategy that is linked to accountability. Okay, so as soon as there is the two are able to blend in a perfect fashion, we will then be able to carry out those projects as we are doing it now. Yes.
Okay. There's always been this perception that not much is being done between the public and private sector to ensure housing delivery. What is the relationship like between your institution and those in the private sector, if at all?
Yes, NAG as an institution, of course, we have realized that there is a need for us to of course, enter into partnership with the private sector. And in such a way, we were able to enter into memorandum of understanding, which had culminated into certain activities that we are going to carry together in a collaborative fashion. I'm not only referring to the private sector alone, but also local authorities, because those are the key stakeholders. We have signed a memorandum of understanding with Swakopmund municipality, where we are going to roll out 124 informal, sector house of houses, which will accommodate the ultra low and low income. So, and that is the partnership that we need to, of course, to forge. With the private sector, normally we enter into a partnership where the private sector can bring on board the land, for example, and then, of course, NAG can build houses. But that partnership I must of course qualify it here. That partnership should be a win-win partnership for the benefit of the citizens of this country and also for the two institutions that will enter into partnership. In our strategic plan, we one of the key area is stakeholder engagement. And most of the partnership that we are going to enter into, maybe to mention another one, we are about to also to enter into a partnership with Otjiwarongo municipality, where the municipality had availed about 800 plots to build low-cost housing. And this is the kind of partnerships that we are talking about. So therefore, NAG alone cannot do much without, of course, the collaboration and the cooperation of other stakeholders, like local authority, like the private sector, and so on. It's the only way that we are able to achieve our mandate, which is entrusted to us. Yes.
Well, Mr. Mukulu, we head for a short break. We'll be back to continue this conversation.
Yes.
To our viewers, we head for a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back from the short break. We continue talking housing matters. Mr. Mukulu, you've mentioned during the first segment of the show of how things are sort of working in your favor internally. But there are still a lot of external factors that are beyond your control, which could hinder your plans, especially those contained in the strategic plan that you mentioned earlier on. Things such as financing, things such as the availability of land. And I know you've in the past spoken of land that's not there as much as you want to work, but you can't work without land. How are you going to address these things?
Well, NAG has put plans in place to make sure that at least we are able to secure as much land as possible from the local authority. And what we have currently, we have stock of land that is not serviced. And our plan in terms of our strategic plan is to make sure that those lands are prepared in terms of the installations of bulk services for us to be able to roll out project. But at the same time, we are also at the same time approaching local authorities to avail land at a reasonable rate or at a reasonable price. The reason why I'm referring to a reasonable price is that many a times people are saying houses are expensive. They are expensive as a result of expensive land. But I should also at the same time, of course, bring to the public's attention that NAG currently is in collaboration with a lot of local authorities to make land available and also enter into partnership with the local authorities where the local authorities will bring in land and then of course NAG can install bulk services. This is a very mammoth task, not only for NAG but also for local authorities, because not all of the local authorities have got service land, and they do not have the means to do so. So therefore, the partnership would enable us to get a win-win, kind of an arrangement, and that's very important for us to be able to achieve our mandate. Because
I know in the past some of the local authorities have argued that but we cannot give you land as NHE for free or at a cheap rate, because there's also a source of revenue for them. So when you talk of win-win, what are the typical discussions like when you sit and formulate the MOU with these local authorities?
Okay, very important, very important. I think the win-win that I'm talking about here, I would like to put it in a context. NAG is bringing in the resources to make sure that at least we put in bulk services and we construct houses. Those houses will be bought by the client who will be the client of the local authority. Now, in the long run, the local authorities will not only benefit in terms of those houses, but it will benefit in terms of basic services. They are collecting revenue from the basic services, be it water, be it sewer, and so on and so forth. And this is the kind of win-win, situation that we would like to forge. Many a times, some local authorities are looking at the windfall of just selling the land, but not knowing that the sustainability and the revenue base of a local authority is based on the number of clients in your locality who are owning houses and who are paying rent and taxes and other services. So, and that's why I'm saying it's very important. It should be a win-win. For NHE, we are getting the income as a result of selling those houses. For the local authorities, they will at the same time increase their tax base and also their revenue base. Yes.
Okay. Let's move a bit to a very rather very concerning development over the years: the mushrooming of informal settlements. Be it because of a lack of housing, be it because of a lack of affordable housing. What is NHE's stance and role in alleviating this phenomena? That's because we see it in most of the major towns. When you drive along these towns on the outskirts, you see there's informal settlements sprouting every year.
Definitely, you are right. It's really something that we need to tackle head on, and it requires effort from all the stakeholders concerned. But I would like to really inform the public that the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development, of course, spearheaded by the Minister, Mr. Erastus Utani, we came up with a very perfect intervention. And this intervention is what we call informal settlement upgrading projects, where if let's say, for example, a client has got a plot, NAG would then be able to build a house for them. But what we had agreed, and also what we had designed, we designed a house which does not have all the finishes. Because there is a perception out there that if a house doesn't have all the finishes, then it's a substandard. But what is important is that we want people, as many people as possible, particularly in the ultra low and low income, to afford. So this program has been implemented since 2020, and we had built about 700 houses in Windhoek in the informal sector. And these houses, in terms of their prices, are ranging from 90 to 120. Of course, a bachelor is 90, and then a one bedroom is 120, a two bedroom is about 160, 170, thereabout, and the three bedrooms is over 200. So it's quite affordable. And therefore, this is the initiative that we are also rolling out to other local authorities to make sure that at least we contain the mushrooming of shacks. The memorandum of understanding we entered into with Swakopmund municipality is an example, and there is also another memorandum that is coming up in Chivarongo. So this is the kind of program that from my end, where I'm sitting, this is the kind of program that, of course, we as NAG, as well as the ministry, need to intensify to make sure that we arrest the mushroomings of shacks across the various localities in the country. Yes.
Okay. Just as we start to wrap up, you spoke earlier on of the mass housing project.
Yes.
And it's one of the areas we'll be looking into going forward during the strategic period. What is NHE's thinking in terms of rolling it out for the second time again? How would it be done different, just to give comfort to the public? I mean, we know how things turned out. So what's going to be different this time around? And some may be even asking, can't you try a new model? Why do you want to go back to this model?
So currently the mass housing initiatives results under the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development. And it's undergoing certain, revamps. There are certain effort that is being put in place to make sure that this is reviewed. And of course, the ministry will, at the end of the day, launch as to what kind of products will be rolled out. But maybe just to inform the public that the ministry and NHE, we are hard at work to make sure that should the the second phase of mass housing be embarked upon, we will make sure that those houses are affordable to the majorities of our people in the country.
Yeah.
So, but of course, that will be announced at a later stage. Yeah, but right now it's under review by the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe just lastly also, can we just touch on the issue? There's quite a number of houses across the different localities that are standing unoccupied, with gross vandalism taking place on those properties and so on. What is the plans for those properties that are standing idle?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think what is important is for people to understand really, because I've been hearing as a CEO of Energy, been hearing there are empty houses at various localities in the countries, and I keep asking the citizens, can you give me a specific place where you find those houses empty? Okay, maybe just to put things into context, all the mass housing houses that were constructed to date are occupied, and they are over 3,500. They are all occupied. There are a few that are not occupied, or let me say that are not finished in terms of technical completion, particularly in Swakopmund. And those are the only houses in Swakopmund, as well as Windhoek and Opua. The government, right now, together with NHE, through the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development, there are plans underway to make sure that those houses that are not completed, particularly in Swakopmund, as well as in Windhoek, Ochomwise, and Opua, are completed. Yeah. The Opua projects had gone for advertisement, and I think right now it's under the evaluation process, so that those houses in Opua can be completed. Yeah. But all in all, it's just to inform the public that the 3,500 and above houses that have been constructed through the mass housing programs are occupied as we speak. There are a few of them that, of course, have got defects here and there, but we are attending to those defects. Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Mukulu, thank you very much for your time this evening, and we wish you well with your going forward, you and your team.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
To our viewers, that's it from the Evening Review team. See you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a pleasant evening.